one of the best people, players Campos ever had. Incredible guy, incredible student, very level-headed, mild-mannered, great leader.
Tiger was always a very strong-minded kid, especially when it came to sports.
He was one of those players you could hear when he's playing. Big hits.
He was probably a $125 soaking wet at safety.
Tiger was just absolutely incredible, just completely destructive on the defensive side of the ball.
Tiger was definitely the hardest hitter. He, set the tone as well.
He was probably 135 pounds, standing at 6 feet tall, and hit like he was 220, 6'3".
All right! I did know that Tiger was Mr. Defense.
Very much so was the heart and soul of the defense.
Tiger developed into one of the best safeties in Campo football.
Tiger Garcia was born in Walnut Creek in 1997. He went to Ream Elementary and Joaquin Moraga Intermediate School. Tiger played many sports while growing up. That included playing tackle football for the Pleasant Hill Rebels when he was 8. When Tiger got to Campolindo as a freshman, he played both wide receiver and safety. He began to showcase the style of the punishing safety that would be his trademark throughout his football career.
Tiger, all through our 4 years of football, was like the leader of the leaders of our defense.
Tiger was tall and lanky, but boy, could he hit. He would fly into the ball from 20 yards away, just absolutely like a missile. He had no fear whatsoever, and oftentimes early in the game, Tiger would come and just lay down a big hit and really set the tone for the game.
He knew how to lay hits, especially in football. We were always very jealous as one of his buddies because he actually got to play Pop Warner football, and we all played the wimpy little flag football. So we always said he had an advantage coming into freshman year when he could hit a lot harder than all of us because he wasn't scared.
Absolute sticks by Tiger over the middle of the field on a big third down, right? They're trying to get a 3rd and 10, and Tiger just takes out their receiver, and we come running off the field. And in football, it's a real momentum shift when you make a stop, but you make a stop with an extremely hard hit.
My favorite memory of Tiger is a combination between Tiger and Mike Samniego and them playing safety together and just seeing them go crazy on the field, super good coverage-wise, but they were definitely known for making big hits. And there was one in particular where Tiger came up and crushed someone, knocked the ball loose, so it was an incomplete pass. But remember him and Mike just taking their helmets off and running around the field going crazy, even though it was 3rd down, and everyone was yelling at them to get back on the field.
Where he'd be coming up from safety and making tackles on a line of scrimmage, and he'd get up there quicker than some of the defensive linemen. But he really kept the whole defense in check.
Tiger was known for being able to lay a big hit on anyone despite his size disadvantage in most situations due to being a little skinny. But one particular one that stood out to me early on was sophomore year at Moreau Catholic. There was a kickoff. This one actually took a bounce. Tiger flying down the sideline, and this guy's looking up to catch it, and Tiger's right under his chin strap and blows him up. The whole sideline. I think Tiger took off his helmet, went crazy. Everyone was kind of whooping and hollering for Tiger because it was a big hit.
When I transitioned from more of an offensive role to a defensive role, I tried to wear that same chip on my shoulder. And so anytime I had the opportunity, I was going to lay my body out and hit someone as hard as I could. And of course, when anyone had a big hit, we kind of naturally learned to celebrate like Tiger, where you run around, you don't know where you're going. Maybe you take your helmet off. You're looking for the closest guy to high five, yelling random words. It was just a really great time.
One of our good friends growing up, Casey Harrington, was the quarterback for Acalanes. Tiger jumps like a post route, intercepts the ball, gets the pick, returns it for, 10, 15 yards. But he just places the ball at the ground of the Acalanes sideline once he gets tackled, and he just trots back to our sideline. And it was the most passive aggressive thing, but I don't know, it had swagger to it.
When Tiger was on varsity as a junior, yes, it was clear he was going to be a hitter, but there was always that lingering fear of an injury. He just hit so hard, and he had that slender body. In fact, I told him, if you're going to go into your senior year and keep doing that, you're not going to make it through a year. So I gave him the nickname of the human coat hanger. And he put a little bit more size on, but not enough to really match the same hitting intensity he had during the senior year.
Teager also became one of the so-called swag scientists with an intimidating look to match his intimidating presence on the field.
He just had this interest in style. He had his swag down to a science, like he had some kind of formula almost he made up in his head about what was okay and what wasn't okay. When it came to his senior year, he must have had like 2 or 3 helmets at our house that he was trying to decide upon, pretty much acting like it was going to make or break his season if he didn't get it right.
The last thing I have to say about Teager is how meticulous he was at putting on stickers on helmets. Like, guys would literally come up to him to properly put these on because he was like a pro. Like, he would put a sticker on for you, no air bubbles, perfect orientation. Yeah, and it always just looked awesome. He was like our in-house sticker layer.
Campo would finish the 2014 regular season 10-0. Teager earned first-team All-League honors at safety. The march to a state championship title was about to begin, and Teager would save some of his biggest highlights of the season for the Cougars' playoff run.
In the NorCal championship against Sutter, Teager, I think he came walking away with 2 interceptions against this offense that they felt very confident coming in, that they had this really dynamic passing attack.
I always wanted to have like a big game interception. And during our Sutter game, there's these really big receivers. And so our defense, our secondary, had a really big role in that game. And there was, I think, 2 or 3 times where a ball was thrown up and I was right there. Oh yeah, this is gonna be my first huge playoff game pick. And then all of a sudden, this shadow Teager comes flying over and steals the ball. He had a couple extra inches on me. Otherwise, I definitely would have caught those balls.
I want to give like a little insight into like the progression of Teager throughout the week. And so it's like Monday through Thursday, he's this honor roll, great student. Friday morning, he's a little bit quiet. And then around Friday at noon, he stops talking, starts acting a little bit weird, like won't talk to pretty much anyone. And he's getting ready for the game.
His pregame ritual was to go home right after school and he wouldn't talk to anybody, pretty much lock himself in his room and watch Gladiator like before every game.
Teager was a very lively, very fun, eccentric guy in a lot of ways, but when it came to football, before games, he would just go to this place mentally where you could just see him. He was just so locked in. There was nothing that was gonna distract him. There was nothing that was gonna get in his way.
You ready for this? Buckle up.
Then game time comes around, and this nice person you know all week is an absolute menace. The hardest hitter you've ever seen. Here and there, absolute just terror on the field. Then the game ends and he flips the switch back off.
Our football program has a big tradition where before our playoff games, we would have a bonfire.
Go, video on my face!
I always remember Teager coming up and always being so focused on what we need to achieve the next day and motivating everyone and really getting his message across about what needed to be accomplished to get to that very next game. And those speeches, that motivation, and his leadership really helped us.
Knowing that we're this close. It's one game away from going all the way, winning an NCS championship. We gotta get smart, man. You gotta love every single second.
One thing that really sticks out is definitely his pregame speeches. I think it was pretty well established. He set the standard there. I've never gotten like full goosebumps and like really fired up like that to anyone's speech really ever. Definitely feel like the warrior spirit in him.
The 2 things you guys got over them, culture and grit. That's what we're about. That's what that C on your chest means. Culture and grit. This is your moment. Go chase that dream.
Can't really teach that kind of mentality, and you just brought it every single game, and I think people fed off of it that entire 2014 season, the attitude that you brought every single day.
His two biggest plays of his life were in the state championship game, and Ramoto was this really impactful player for us, and he was the one who picked up that fumble and ran it back to win the game. But obviously, the less heralded hero has got to be the guy that made that fumble happen, and that was Tiger. Tiger comes up, what seems to be an ordinary tackle, but he came in, put his head right on the ball, got that running back's momentum backwards for El Capitan, and the ball just popped out.
Cagle feeds Capucci to the right end, and he's brought down, loses a football. Go the other way, it's Ramoto. Nobody's gonna catch him. Campolindo with an improbable touchdown on a fumble by Capucci.
I get a lot of credit for, but there was people behind the scenes on that play that don't necessarily get enough credit. Petit being one, sealing the edge, making him cut back, and then Tiger flying from his safety position to actually make the hit, put his helmet right on the ball. The ball pops out, and the rest is history.
Well, Capucci uses the ball, but Ramoto has always been in the right spot at the right time today. That play, no exception.
And you put your hat right on the ball, and you were able to let Adam scoop that fumble up and take it all the way.
McNally, our all-star gunner, comes flying down, puts a hit on the ball, returner fumbles it, and Tiger's the one who comes up with it.
Malero on the return, ball pops out again. Campolindo thinks they have it, and they do. Fumbles on back-to-back plays.
After trailing 28-7 in the second half, the Cougars scored 28 unanswered points to top El Capitan 35-28 and bring the team's first state football title back to Moraga.
Obviously, that game was legendarily impactful for the program as well as on my life, and I do remember on that day specifically, Tiger didn't take off his helmet for a while. You can even see it in the final snapshot of our state team. We're all smiling, wearing the team-issued state championship hats and all this stuff, and Tiger's just still got his helmet on. You could tell it, not through his words, but through his actions, how meaningful it was to him, because he just wanted to wait those last 30 minutes to keep that football helmet on him for the last time.
Tiger loved it all so much that we took the bus ride home, and he was still wearing his helmet. No one could get him to take it off.
Tiger would go on to earn All-Metro honors at safety after the 2014 season. His talents were noticed by the UC Davis football coaching staff. After graduating from Campo in 2015, Tiger made the Aggies team as a freshman walk-on. He was then awarded a football scholarship there. Tiger was voted team captain and started his senior year at safety. He was one of the team's leading tacklers on defense. The Aggies were Big Sky Conference champions that season. Tiger was twice named Academic All-American. In fact, he had the highest GPA of all student athletes at Davis in 2019. Tiger graduated with the honor of summa cum laude, receiving his degree in managerial economics in 2019. After graduation, he was awarded a Fulbright scholarship to represent the USA in the United Kingdom and attended Strathclyde Business School. Tiger earned his master's in financial technology there in 2022. He recently returned to the States and currently works as a portfolio manager for Pensera Capital. Tiger, his wife Lauren, and one-year-old daughter Jane now live in Moraga, around the world and back for the newest member of the Campolindo Football Hall of Fame.
He's a warrior, he's brave, he's always had an edge to him where he's not afraid to stand up and fight for himself, and he's never going to let any obstacle get in the way of his goals. Congratulations, Teague, for being inducted into the Campolindo Football Hall of Fame.
Welcome, Tiger, to the Campolindo Football Hall of Fame.
Tiger, congrats on being inducted into the Campo Football Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Tiger, and welcome to the Campolindo Football Hall of Fame.
Tiger Garcia, welcome to the Campolindo Football Hall of Fame.